All right, we got a 1997 Dodge 3500, and that noise you heard is the wheel bearing assembly failing. So when you order that, they call it the hub. And it's pretty forgiving. You can drive it around quite a while with that clicking noise. But as it starts getting worse and worse, it'll eventually fail. And you don't want to be out on the freeway somewhere where that happens. So we're going to change this out. All right, we need a 3/8 Allen head to get the caliper off. This is your first specialty tool you're going to encounter. They don't want anybody with a 10-piece Craftsman tool set to be doing this. Okay, and just get some wire this up out of your way. Don't let this hang by the rubber brake line. Why? This thing's heavy. That's why. Ooh. Okay, we're not gonna worry about brakes and shit like that. We're doing the hub, okay? You can really get bogged down trying to fix everything at once. This is gonna go right back in. So I got 32 thousandths safety wire. But you can just get some at Home Depot, go to the concrete section and get a roll of rebar tie. Alright, I moved my wire out to here. I had run that through the rubber caliper pin guide. Don't do that. It's going to destroy it. Alright, let's get the sensor off for the automatic braking system. Alright, here's your skid sensor right here. It's just a magnet. Let's see. This is a 5/16. And that's my socket that's cracked. Keep forgetting to replace that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that got cracked on this very job. Alright, this thing's just a magnet, so you can just stick it out of your way somewhere. Alright, Cotter pin right here. Cotter pin tool. All right, 1 1/16 gets this thing off of here. Well, you can kind of hear. Well, with the weight of vehicle on this, you can hear it. All right, there's 4 9/16 12-point bolts that hold the hub. Okay, there's one right here. There's the last one in there. All right, with these 4 bolts out, the hub assembly is going to come off now with the rotor. I have a tendency to forget to put these back on, so I'm going to leave them right there. This is an 8-stud rotor and hub assembly. These lug nut studs are holding the rotor to the hub to an interference fit. So we need to drive all 8 of these out. We're going to reuse the rotor. Our new hub assembly is going to come with new studs. You could protect these studs by putting the lug nut back on there, but we got new ones with ours. We're just going to drive these out. All right, let's look at some ways we can drive these out of here. If you want to protect the hubs, you could take a nut and put it on here, protecting the threads. I like using the aluminum bar. This metal's softer than the steel. And then I can work from up here. And then you could use a rivet gun. Alright, here's our new hub assembly. Made in China. Let's see what we get here. Here's our 8 studs. 2, 4, 6, 8. Here's our new hub assembly. She sure is beautiful. Alright, let's take a look at the studs while we got them apart. Right here's where the interference fit is going to happen in the hub. See that? That's where we're going to drive that in. And that space is where it's going to go through the rotor. The hub is going to be held to the rotor by that interference fit. And once you get these seated in here, when we put on our hub extension, that'll snug these down nice and flush. As you tighten it, you'll feel that come in. So all we need to do is seat these in here. And we're going to do that with that aluminum bar. Okay, here's our old one. Here's the new one. This is a 97. This has 275,000 miles on it. That's a pretty damn good track record for that. All right, to get the 8 studs seated, I'm going to use my tire. You want to be driving into a nice firm surface. If it's not seating, just get out a bigger hammer. That always works for me. All right. I didn't get these to seat good. Nobody said this was going to be easy. Crap. Fit them nice and snug when this is installed in the vehicle. Alright, if there was ever a time in your life that you thought you should use Never Sees, this is it. And then these spacers and this dust guard, that only can go on one way. Unless you try really, really hard. Okay. That hub assembly is heavy, so you don't want to cross thread your brand new part. To line this up, wire these in place like this. Get it started, and then yank the safety wire out, or whatever wire you got. Two's probably going to be good enough for this. I think I'm going to get the two at the top. Okay, that slot, that's where the caliper is going to be. So I put everything together and forgot to put these on before. All right, see this? That's really worn. I think I'd be foolish to put this all back together and not change this U-joint right here. Boy, the more I look at this, this is really fucked up. Man. Anyway, let's get this apart. Man. Alright, there's some clips holding this in. Here's one. Looks like it's... Alright, there's the 4 clips out. Here's what they look like. Now, I'm going to use my ball joint tool and press it out, but you can take a socket that's that size and pound it out. That little groove there is for the ball joint tool to fit. Alright, after all these specialty tools, I'm just going to take a 7/8 and a hammer and drive that out of there. See that? I would say lack of lubrication caused this failure. Right there's the Zerk fitting, which I've never used since I've owned this truck. Okay. Here's my new universal joint from Napa. There's my clips. Inside clips. I stopped at a few auto parts store that are in direct competition with Napa, and they tried to sell me the wrong U-joint. It's not the young guy's fault that's running that computer program, but it was clear by the clips he was trying to sell me the U-joints for the drive shaft, most likely. Maybe I didn't explain myself good, but anyway, I've fucked a lot of shit up in my day, and I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about it. So these caps on these universal joints, they got to go in from the outside and they got to come out from the outside. I was overzealous with my socket driving that out. And my cap came completely out on this side. Well, it has to go back out that way. Well, this is machined, so it's got a taper and fits in there. So you try to bring it the other way. Can you see that groove? there's nothing you can do. You have to drive it back out that way. So that's not going to hurt anything. So the little needle bearings that are in here, one time I dislodged one of those somehow, and it was laying at the bottom of the cap. No matter how hard I tried to press this together, it wouldn't go flush. And that's why the little cap was in there. And the other thing I can remember that I screwed up, you want the Zerk fitting where you can access it. You put this in ass backwards, facing the wrong way. It's hard to get the nozzle of your grease gun in there for that. So you got the tire on this side. With all that together, you can't get in there. So you want this on the opposite side of the tire. Okay? All right. Okay, one other thing I wanted to say is protect your threads when you have this out and you're trying to get your universal joints out. As you can see, I had this thing bouncing around, realized that the threads were getting damaged. Nice little dent in that already. Alright, so these caps have to go in this way. And they have to come out that way. Alright, let's get this thing back together. Well, look at this fucking bullshit. Okay. See that? You don't have much clearance here. And here's our new one. Made in China. And they fucking already put the Garlock seal on here. Okay. With that Garlock seal in place, this is not gonna fucking fit in there. So I'm gonna have to carefully remove this. I can't be the first one that's fucking run across this. Take it easy here. These are $51 each after the discount. The opportunity to fuck this up is great. Take it easy, take it easy. Why wouldn't they just fucking put this in a little bag? Alright, that wasn't so bad after all, but I'm telling you what, man, my stress level was through the roof. Alright, let's see if this will even fit now. Yeah, okay, so we only have to get one off. Okay, we want our Zerk fitting facing away from the wheel. so that's here. Get this in place. We got to get our seal back on here. Okay. The needle bearings, I told you the story already. If you can't get this back flush, one of those is falling down. Okay. That's in there right. Okay, that one doesn't want to go in. Great. Okay. Everything looks good. Must not have been lined up right. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty confident that's gonna drive in nice and clean. All right, see what just happened to me? Moving this around, this popped back out, and the needle bearings come out. And it wouldn't go in. Be cognizant of that needle bearing width. If this doesn't drive flush, and it doesn't drive flush, the width of that needle bearing is stuck at the fucking bottom of this, okay? And now, I'm glad that happened. I need to get this Garlock seal off for when we put the other one in place. It would have been a disaster driving this in and then trying to get these out with that installed. So everything happens for a reason. You may never know what that reason is, but everything happens for a reason. And in this case, it's to give me a second chance here. I need to get the Garlock seals off of this pair right here. So the head on the Pontiac engine, this is in the 70s, there's a water jacket in there. Well, there was a special fitting that went on one of the heads. It was a specialty order thing, and it cost 35 bucks if I remember right. When I got it, I didn't have the right tool to get that in. And I tried to get it in by hitting the nipple. In hindsight now, probably could have got a socket or something and driven it in, but with the hammer I was hitting the nipple and fucked it up. So take it easy on this one. Bam. Okay, the two Garlock seals are here, positioned the correct way. The Zerk fitting's away from the wheel. I'm going to bring this in nice and slow. Get it halfway in and then double check everything. Okay, that's going in nice and smooth. I think it's safe to say our needle bearings did not get dislodged. When these are only 17 bucks, it's different than when they're 50. If you screw something up, just drive it back out. And I can already feel that something's not going right here. Ah, shit. What the hell? So, if this won't drive in, that's the exact spacing of a needle bearing. Christ. Ah, fuck. Okay, it looks like we drove this one too far in, so okay. The opportunity here to fuck shit up is great. Okay, we'll transition our tool to this. Driving it in with the socket and a hammer is perfectly good way to do this, but I'm telling you, that one time I got that needle bearing down at the bottom, that was from driving it in with a hammer. Okay, see that? That seal did not seat correctly. And the C-clips won't go in, so gonna have to try again. Never quits, does it? Okay, I can't get that fucking Garlock seal to seat like it's supposed to. See right there where I had my... There's nothing I can do about this. It's gonna have to go into service, not seated flush. We'll look at the other one and see if there's anything we can do differently. Okay, with the 15/16, you can drive that Garlock seal back on there flush, but you're never going to be able to get the other one flush. Unless there's some special tool. I mean, I could get in there with a screwdriver, maybe. Boy, they don't give you much clearance here to get this on here, do they? Okay. So right here, I suppose, is where I need to get this flush before it's already installed. We're not going to hurt the rubber too much right here. Okay. That's how you got to do this. Okay? You're not going to hurt the rubber too much doing this. It's too late for the other one. That's how you're going to have to do that. Well, I was hoping to use this truck sometime this century. Okay, the clip's going to go in there nice, but there's not enough room on this side, so we need to shift the whole thing that way. All right, I'm going to leave this up while we got it out of the vehicle. Okay, where were we anyway? All right, I sure fucked up these threads on this. Not protecting them. This thing's heavy. Ugh. Ah, crap. I had a Pontiac 6000. They sold me a CV joint, and the teeth were incorrect. And I had to finally get a piece of clay and show the guy that, dude, this is not the right one. All right, I forgot how heavy this thing was, but I remember now. So I got it supported here. Okay, get all of these threaded before you do anything. Certainly don't introduce power tools until these are threaded. Would a good idea be having your air ratchet on here, spinning it, trying to find thread? probably not. Okay, these bolts torque to 125. We already discussed that they're 12 point. And if you did the wire trick, which I did, make sure you got the wire out. Okay, time to address these threads that are kind of screwed up. I put this together and forgotten this washer. And it drives down real nice, but the hole to the cotter pin is way off. And then you're like, what the fuck is wrong here? So don't forget that. I'm going to put some grease in here. It's not going to hurt anything. I used to work with a guy that was in the Army, wheel and track specialist. Track and wheel? Anyway. He almost started crying when he saw me putting grease on there. I said, dude, I'm from the Navy. This shit'll probably have to come apart again. I'm not going to combat and get left there. Anyway. Now, if I can only find that nut. Alright, I got this nut on backwards. I'm gonna hope I can cut some new threads in this. That ain't good. Alright, that was a pretty big fuck up, not protecting these threads. That I've had this on and off a couple times now. Okay, the torque on this is 230. That's fucking really tight. And I don't see my cotter pin hole. Okay, there it is. If I drive this to that hole, I'm going to be happy that it's close to 230, at least close enough for what I'm doing. Okay, that's it. Okay, the studs that are holding the wheel bearing hub assembly to the rotor, I'm pulling them flush right now. And you know when they're bottomed out. That one's bottomed out. That one's bottomed out. That one's bottomed out. Okay. Alright, if you're really ate up, torque on the lug nuts of 145. Which is off scale on this. That one's good. That one's good. Hubcap would probably keep some dirt and grime out of my lubricated parts, but those are long gone. You ready for the test drive? New day, let's give this a test drive. I'm pretty sure that didn't fix the noise. What do you think? That's what I thought. Left side, there it is, bigger than shit now. Right side. Those U-joints on the drive axles in the front, they just rotate unless you're in full-wheel drive, so. But it looks like they both failed at approximately the same service life. We're definitely going to change that other one out over there on the right side. Alright, John Candy did a skit when he was on Second City Television. And he was selling an album of Babe Ruth. Not the band, the hitter. And you heard the crack of the bat, and he perked up and described when and where the hit happened. But that reminds me of me listening to this sound here, thinking it was this hub. And I've come to the conclusion that we did a recreational hub change. The noise most likely was the rotating U-joints over there. I made that decision based on the fact that this right side failed on me and it was making that noise. Certainly not going to hurt having a new hub over there. And now the maintenance cycle left and right will be matched up a little better. Alright, let's change the U-joints over here on the right side and give it another test. Look at this. Caliper upper bolt is not tight. I don't think this is making our noise, but it's certainly not a good thing. All right, we got the vehicle supported. For safety, I always put a stand if you're using a hydraulic jack. Okay, this hub should come off now. Sometimes you gotta use a puller on this. There's our noise for sure. Hear it? Alright, I have no idea why this isn't coming off. And my puller set is not quite big enough. I don't remember what I used before. I welded this thing up. I have all 4 of my bolts out. I put a couple back in. I'm going to tap on this and see what happens. Alright, that thing's fucked up. Man, was that the noise on the other side too? I'm sure it sounded like it was coming from the other side. What do I know? I need hearing aids anyway. I think we can all agree that's fucked up. Alright, I'm going to definitely protect the threads this time. Let's do that right now. So that does get tight. I was kind of worried about the threads on the other side. But that does get tight right there. What else? Okay. Gonna press these out. We'll take a look at it. Getting that out wasn't very easy, I'm telling you. I'm gonna have nightmares about this one. Okay, see that? That is what you have to be careful of. You start pressing these in, and that last small bit won't drive home. That's what happened. Now I triple check when I do this, and lo and behold, there's exactly what I'm warning you about. All right, there it is all together. It's not an easy job, and you do need quite a bit of tools. but you can do it. Just give it your best shot. That's all anyone can ask of you. Alright, test drive was a success that time. That's a fix. That's it. Alright, let's get a 5/16 socket for the next time. All right, the last one.